white people and black people, as we call ourselves, should not have any contact with each other. You still refuse to understand this.
How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about the New York City subway shooter Frank James finally being arrested by NYPD after some 29 hours of being on the run. Now, we got to get to a lot in this particular video. We got to talk about what he did and all the specifics of it. We got to talk about why he was on the run for so long. We got to talk about his YouTube videos. Oh, yeah, he was a YouTuber by the name of Prophet of Truth 88 and also Prophet of Doom 8888. We'll get to all of that in a moment. But first, let's back up and explain what happened here. What's going on? Well, back during rush hour yesterday, which was Tuesday, Frank James had some smoke devices. I believe they were like fireworks. I think that's what he said. He went to a fireworks spot and got some smoke devices, set them off on the subway, like on the actual car, and got to shooting people. He injured 23 people, but I think 10 were hit directly by his gunfire, and he shot 33 times or more. And if I'm wrong about any of that, y'all please let me know. But I know 10 people were hit. I think it was 7 men and 3 women. Now, luckily, nobody was killed as of yet. I think there may have been some critical condition type people, but as of right now, which is Wednesday, April 13th, right around 3:45 p.m., no one has been killed. Thank goodness. But he did hit 10 people directly with gunshots, and we have about 28 or 30 or so that have been injured by his rampage, and he shot off 33 times. Now, how did he get away? I don't really know. You see, during all the confusion of what happened, people were on the platform. I guess they were escaping the car where he was. People were on the platform trying to figure out, okay, what did we do next? The police were down there saying, hey, go over here to this next car. Because I guess the particular car that the shooting happened in, that might have been just, I guess, offline for a while, decommissioned. So, okay, go over here to that one. So I guess during all the melee, he was able to take off some of his identifying stuff and throw it on the ground. He threw his credit cards on the ground. I think he had on a helmet and a construction vest, threw it on the ground. He was able to go to the next car and I guess ride around the subway for a while. I don't really know how he escaped. What I do know is that if you see any photos of him, he has on the mask after the whole thing. I'm not sure he had the mask on before the whole thing happened, but he did have on the mask afterward. This is the whole thing with that mask stuff we're talking about. You're able to obfuscate your identity. You're able to conceal yourself. It's like a disguise. So you could walk around kind of unnoticed because nobody can really see your face, or your face is, like I said, it's kind of obfuscated. Who knows what's going on up underneath that? But anyway, he was able to escape detection for a good 29 hours until he popped up in Manhattan. Now, the shooting happened in Brooklyn, in a subway in Brooklyn, but he made it to Manhattan somehow. He was on First Avenue between 6th and 7th Street. If you live in New York City, you know what I'm talking about. Basically, he was in Lower Manhattan from Brooklyn, and he was just walking around, and somebody saw him like, hey, that's the guy right there. So that guy or girl, I'm not really sure, went to the police. They thought the person was crazy. It's like, no, that's not him. But it was him. And I think the police had already been out there because they got a tip that he was in a subway station or something. They got a tip that he was in that area. And when they got to that particular area, he wasn't there. And then somebody else said, hey, that's him right there just walking around like it ain't nothing going on. So the police were able to apprehend him right there. Now, here's a fact I want to focus on just briefly. Somehow this guy that shot at least 10 people, injured many more, was not shot and killed when the police found him, nor was he hurt at all. He was taken into custody without incident. It's funny how you can survive and be just fine when you don't resist. You done shot 10 people in the subway. It's like a terrorist attack. If you don't resist, maybe you won't have anything happen to you. Just maybe. I know it's a novel idea to the BLM type people, but that's just what it is, right? So he is in custody right now, and he probably won't come home ever again. Hopefully, don't let him out on bail or no bail, like how they do in New York City. We've seen that before with murder suspects, and this guy didn't kill anybody. He shot a lot of people, but he didn't kill anybody. There was a murder suspect that was able to get out with no bail, and when they let him out, he went and killed somebody else, like that same night. So I don't think they let him out. It's a high-profile case in the subway. You shot all these people. You're not going to be able to go home. But if he was able to get out during the trial process, I would not be surprised. Now, the guy was at one point known to the FBI. Oh, yes, he was. Now, if you watch the news, they'll say that Frank James was not being investigated by the federales, all this, that, and the third. That's true, but it obfuscates the truth. Okay, it disguises the truth because he was on the FBI watch list, but taken off back in 2019. Now, I don't know what prompted him to get on the list to begin with, but he was on the FBI watch list at one point in time, but he wasn't at the time of the incident. Okay, he was taken off back in 2019. Again, I don't know why. But the FBI did know about this guy. Oh, yes, they did. And he has a rap sheet. Yes, he does. I'm not sure where he was living at as of right now, but he has a long rap sheet in New York City from 92 to 98. Sex offenses, failure to pay services, all kind of stuff. A myriad of different charges he had for a good 6-year stretch. The gun he purchased came from a pawn shop in Ohio. He's been all over the country. They knew him in Wisconsin. They knew him about him everywhere, you know, in other parts of the country aside from New York and New York City. And this story won't get too much traction because there's a few things going on. First, the gun he used was not a rifle at all. You know, the whole AR-15, big bad scary weapon. He had a 9mm, like a Glock 17 or something like that, like a regular handgun. So this was not some kind of big rifle, semi-automatic, semi-fully automatic, you know how they say. It wasn't anything like that. It was just a regular handgun. Regular handgun, and he went and wreaked havoc with that. Okay, that's the first thing. Second thing, he's black, obviously. Okay, and that doesn't really go very well. It doesn't fit the white male terrorist AR-15. That's not this. But there is kind of a premeditated thing going on. Let's talk about his YouTube page now. His YouTube page or pages, as far as I know, have been nuked. You can't find them anymore. I was able to watch some of this stuff last night when this whole thing was happening, and I was just like, okay, let's see what's going on. Let's see if it's him. Let's see if they get him. And once they got him, like, okay, let's do the video now. So I watched some videos where they got nuked, and it was a lot of stuff where he was drunk, or you could tell he might have been drinking a little bit, not slurring his words, acting crazy, but things that didn't really make sense. Some things that I guess made sense to him, and some points that were kind of valid, not about any kind of extremist stuff. Obviously, I disavow anything that he did 100%, and he should go up under the penitentiary or, you know, get something else, get some, you know, capital punishment. But anyway, I saw a video talking about Will Smith and black on black violence being the bad thing. Now, obviously, these are bad things, and I think he agreed with that. But I think the problem is that he did not disagree with black on white violence or black on other nations of people violence. I think that's the actual issue. And if I'm wrong about that, y'all, again, please correct me in the comments. But that guy had problems for sure. A lot of drunken rants, a lot of, you know, talking about violence, talking about black and white folks, how white folks mad that black folks aren't slaves anymore, all kind of stuff like that. Typical, what they say, black identity extremist type stuff. It reminds me of Michael Xavier Johnson and the other guy in, what was that, Kenosha or Milwaukee that ran over the Christmas parade. It reminds me of stuff like what he would say. Okay, so similar thing, same thing. I don't know the specific motive behind this guy, Frank James, who, by the way, was pretty old to be doing something like this, like 62 years old. I'm not sure why he would do that at this age, but I guess it doesn't really matter. The point is that I don't really know his exact motive, but if I had to guess by looking at his YouTube page, I would say that it's racially motivated. But again, I can't say that because I don't know that. I don't have that particular hardcore evidence. That's just my hunch. If you were to ask me and say, hey, man, what do you think? What do you believe happened? I think it was racially motivated. A lot of hatred on the inside. I'm not sure why he went to New York City and shot the subway up. I think there was a video he had before, like a year ago, where he took pictures of the subway and was kind of examining where people travel and doing all that. So maybe it had been in plan for a long time, and it probably could have been. But as far as I know, I don't know the exact motive. All that I do know is that he did this, apparently, allegedly. He has been arrested by the New York Police Department. There will be federal charges. He'll probably go to the federal penitentiary, and he won't come home anymore. They can't let this guy out. You shoot up a subway and hit 10 people and injure many more, you're not going to go home anymore. He's pretty much toast. And his age especially, and to be, 5'5", 180 pounds, is about to be a wrap for you anyway. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? How do you feel about the whole situation? And hopefully everybody gets well soon that was shot. Nobody died, thank God. But hopefully everybody gets well soon. But what do you guys think? Do you think this was something that could have been prevented? The federales knew about him? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. You may or may not know where I stand. I think that this probably couldn't have been prevented because but then again, I don't really know what evidence the federales had on him back in 2019. Why was he on the watch list? If you get on the watch list, what's the criteria for that to happen? Am I on the watch list because I say that I'm conservative? I mean, I don't really know what puts you on their radar. I would presume there's something there that could have been looked into a little bit better, a little bit differently. Just maybe. That's just a thought I have in my mind. I mean, if you're on the federales watch list 3 years ago, and here you go commit a mass shooting in a New York City subway during rush hour in the morning, I mean, something's not clicking right. Something's not all the way working the way that it should be, and that probably should be explored. But I'm not sure what they could have done. I just don't really know that. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.